had a really bad cold. That's what I thought I had. I was coughing, I felt pretty lousy. I was going to work and getting ready to go to Florida on vacation. I was really excited. It'd be warm, get out of the winter, you know. And I went to sleep. I woke up. I was in a hospital, and I couldn't move. And I had tubes running out of every part of my body you could imagine. I had a tube in my nose, and I didn't know it, but it went all the way down into my stomach. I couldn't feel it. I had a tube in my mouth. They had cut open my throat, and I had a really big tube there. It was attached to a machine. I had things in my veins. I had another IV, another thing in a main vein up here, and I couldn't move except my head. My lungs were working so poorly that they weren't taking in enough oxygen. So by the time the blood got to the end, no more oxygen. Same with the toes. And so what happened is, it started pretty quickly after I was admitted to the hospital. Tips of my fingers turned black. Tips of my toes turned black. The skin was dying, basically. And the bone underneath, and then it just kept moving. Nobody knew where it stopped. It could have gone all the way up. I could have lost my whole arms, all my legs, everything. They were afraid there might be brain damage because they didn't know it was enough blood getting to my brain. So it did stop. Good. On the hands, hold up your hands for a second, everybody. Look at your hand. The spaces in between your fingers are called the web space. That's kind of where it stopped on the hands, pretty much, was at the web space. On my feet here, it went up, there's no toes here, I'll show you in a minute. And on this leg, it went up the ankle. Why it went up further, nobody knows. But because after, I was taken off that machine, they had to do surgery to take off basically what were the dead fingers. And so I had lots of surgery, and they, kept what they could. I had to learn how to feed myself, like a little toddler child does. I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn everything brand new, like a baby's learning for the first time. And I got stronger, I got better, and I noticed the harder I worked at something, the harder I worked at it, better I got. Probably good for me to be that stubborn, to help me to learn how to do stuff and to be willing to fight and fight and fight to figure it all out. So I never really felt like giving up, no. I just feel like taking on the kind of get to the edge, and I just kind of lift up, and sure enough, whoop, off the mountain. And he's right here behind me. He's manipulating the parachute. He says, "Oh, you want to go higher?" We're about 4,000 feet above the ground. Oh. So, of course, I said yes. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience, something I never thought I could do. If you had told me when I woke up in the hospital and couldn't move, "Oh yeah, you'll be jumping off of mountains," I'd say, "You're crazy. You'll be playing ping pong. You're crazy. There's no way I could do that stuff." And so I didn't put limits on myself. This is what I learned. I didn't put limits on myself, and I was able to do so much more. If you say you can't do something, you're going to be right, because you won't even try, or you give up really easily. We all have our limits, but don't put limits. Just say, "Okay, I'm going to just keep trying," because you'd be amazed what you can do. It's a lesson everybody should learn.